Jerome Williams stepped into the opulent lobby of the prestigious New York luxury hotel, his polished shoes clicking on the marble floor. The grandeur of the space matched his aspirations, and he adjusted his tie, feeling confident in his impeccable resume and years of experience in the hospitality sector. As he was escorted to the interview room, Jerome observed the staff, noticing a distinct lack of diversity among the higher-ranking employees. He pushed the observation aside, focusing on the task at hand. Mr. Thompson, the hiring manager, greeted him with a perfunctory handshake and a fleeting glance. The interview began, and Jerome eagerly shared his extensive experience and impressive achievements. He spoke of successful hotel turnarounds, innovative customer service programs, and his vision for elevating guest experiences. However, Mr. Thompson seemed disinterested, his eyes barely skimming Jerome's meticulously prepared portfolio. Instead of engaging with Jerome's responses, Thompson asked superficial questions that had little to do with the job requirements. "How do you feel about dress codes?" he inquired, eyeing Jerome's suit with an unreadable expression. "Our clientele expects a certain image." Jerome, maintaining his professionalism, responded diplomatically about the importance of presentation in the hospitality industry. He tried to steer the conversation back to his qualifications, but Thompson interrupted with another off-topic question. As the interview progressed, it became increasingly clear that Thompson was more concerned with Jerome's appearance than his capabilities. Comments about fitting in and maintaining standards peppered the conversation, each one a thinly veiled reference to Jerome's race. The interview concluded abruptly, with Thompson standing and extending a limp handshake. "We'll be in touch," he said dismissively. "But I must say, we're looking for someone who can seamlessly blend with our established culture." Jerome left the room, his initial optimism replaced by a heavy weight in his chest. He had faced discrimination before, but never so blatantly in a professional setting. As he walked through the lobby, he made a silent vow to himself. This would not be the last time he crossed those doors. Jerome exited the hotel, the crisp New York air doing little to cool his frustration. He loosened his tie, feeling suffocated by more than just the fabric. Thompson's words echoed in his mind, each subtle jab at his appearance and implied unsuitability stinging afresh. As he walked down the bustling street, Jerome's initial shock gave way to anger, then determination. He had worked too hard, achieved too much, to let one bigoted hiring manager derail his ambitions. He pulled out his phone and texted a few close friends, arranging to meet at their favorite bar. Later that evening, Jerome sat with his friends, nursing a drink as he recounted the interview. His companions listened with growing outrage as he detailed Thompson's thinly veiled prejudice. "I can't believe this still happens," one friend exclaimed, shaking his head in disbelief. "It happens more often than you'd think," Jerome replied, his voice tinged with resignation. "But this time it's different. I'm not letting it go." His friends exchanged glances, sensing the shift in Jerome's demeanor. "What are you thinking?" asked Sarah, a fellow hospitality professional. Jerome leaned forward, his eyes blazing with newfound purpose. "I'm going to own that hotel one day," he declared. The table fell silent, absorbing the weight of his words. "That's ambitious," said Michael, another friend. "But if anyone can do it, it's you." Jerome nodded, already formulating plans in his mind. "It's not just about owning the hotel," he explained. "It's about changing the culture, showing them that diversity isn't just a buzzword, it's good business." As the night wore on, Jerome's determination grew. He shared his vision of a truly inclusive luxury hotel, where staff at all levels reflected the diversity of the city itself. His friends, inspired by his passion, offered their support and connections. The evening ended with Jerome standing at the bar's window, gazing out at the city skyline. The hotel's distinctive silhouette stood out among the buildings, no longer a symbol of rejection, but a challenge to be conquered. "I'll be back," he murmured to himself, "and next time, I'll be walking through those doors as the owner." His promise hung in the air, a testament to his resilience and ambition. Jerome knew the road ahead would be difficult, but as he looked at the glittering lights of New York, he felt a surge of hope. This setback was just the beginning of a new chapter in his story, one that would redefine success in the hospitality industry. A week passed, and rumors about the hotel's impending sale began circulating in New York's business circles. Jerome, having leveraged his connections and financial acumen, found himself in a high-stakes meeting with potential investors. The room buzzed with speculation about the hotel's future. Jerome sat quietly, observing the others as they discussed the property's potential. He wore a bespoke suit that exuded confidence, a stark contrast to his demeanor during the ill-fated interview. When the lead investor asked for final bids, Jerome calmly raised his hand. "Gentlemen," he began, his voice steady and authoritative, "I'm pleased to inform you that further bidding won't be necessary." The room fell silent as all eyes turned to him. "I've already acquired the hotel through a private deal with the corporate headquarters." The shock was palpable. Investors who had barely acknowledged Jerome's presence now stared at him in disbelief. He continued, outlining his vision for the hotel's future, emphasizing innovation, inclusivity, and a fresh approach to luxury hospitality. As the meeting adjourned, Jerome made his way to Mr. Thompson's office. The hiring manager's face paled as Jerome entered, recognition and fear flickering in his eyes. "Mr. Williams," Thompson stammered, "I wasn't expecting." "Clearly," Jerome interrupted, his tone professional but firm. "Mr. Thompson, I'm here to inform you that I am the new owner of this establishment." He paused, allowing the information to sink in. "I trust you remember our previous interaction." Thompson's discomfort was evident as he struggled to form a response. Jerome continued, "I'm not here for revenge, Mr. Thompson. I'm here to implement change. The kind of change that will make this hotel a leader in both luxury and inclusivity." He outlined his plans for staff training, diversity initiatives, and a complete overhaul of the hiring process. Thompson listened, his earlier arrogance replaced by a mix of shame and uncertainty. "I expect your full cooperation in these changes," Jerome concluded. "Your experience is valuable, but your perspective needs to evolve. Are you prepared to be part of this new chapter?" Thompson, realizing the precariousness of his position, nodded weakly. "Yes, Mr. Williams. I look forward to learning from you." As Jerome left the office, he felt a sense of triumph, not over Thompson, but over the systemic barriers he had faced. This was more than a personal victory. It was the beginning of a transformation that would ripple through the entire industry. Jerome called a company-wide meeting, gathering all hotel staff in the grand ballroom. As employees filed in, whispers and curious glances filled the air. Many had heard rumors about the new owner, but were unprepared for Jerome's commanding presence as he took the stage. "Good morning," Jerome began, his voice carrying across the room. "I'm Jerome Williams, your new owner and CEO. Today marks the beginning of a new era for this hotel." He paused, letting his words sink in. "We're going to redefine luxury by embracing diversity and inclusion at every level of our operation." Jerome outlined his vision, emphasizing merit-based opportunities and a workplace culture that celebrated differences. He announced new training programs designed to promote diverse talents within the staff and a revamped hiring policy, prioritizing a wide range of backgrounds and experiences. As he spoke, Jerome noticed varying reactions among the staff. Some nodded in agreement, while others looked skeptical or even uncomfortable. He addressed these concerns head-on. "Change can be challenging," he acknowledged, "but I assure you, this path will lead to a stronger, more successful hotel for all of us." In the front row, Maya, a young receptionist, listened intently, her eyes shining with newfound hope. Jerome noticed her enthusiasm and made a mental note to speak with her later. After the presentation, Jerome opened the floor for questions. The staff's responses were mixed. A veteran concierge raised concerns about maintaining the hotel's traditional image, while a junior housekeeper expressed excitement about potential growth opportunities. Jerome addressed each question directly, balancing empathy with firm resolve. "Our goal is not to discard our legacy," he explained, "but to build upon it, creating a richer experience for both our guests and our team." As the meeting concluded, Jerome could sense a shift in the room's energy. The initial skepticism had given way to cautious optimism. He knew there would be challenges ahead, but he was prepared to face them. Jerome spent the rest of the day walking through the hotel, introducing himself to staff members and listening to their stories. He wanted to understand the existing culture before implementing changes. By the end of the day, Jerome stood in his new office, looking out over the New York skyline. The weight of his responsibility settled on his shoulders, but so did the excitement of the journey ahead. He had taken the first step towards transforming not just this hotel, but the industry's approach to diversity and inclusion. As the sun set, casting a golden glow over the city, Jerome felt a renewed sense of purpose. The real work was just beginning, but he was ready to lead the way towards a more inclusive and vibrant future in hospitality. A month into Jerome's tenure, he organized a meeting with the hotel's most frequent and high-profile guests. The opulent penthouse suite buzzed with tension as Jerome entered, facing a room full of skeptical faces. "Thank you all for coming," Jerome began, his tone professional yet warm. "I understand you have concerns about the recent changes in our hotel's management and direction." An older gentleman, Mr. Harrington, a conservative business magnate, spoke up first. "Mr. Williams, this hotel has been our home away from home for decades. We're worried about losing the exclusivity we've come to expect." Jerome nodded, acknowledging the concern. "I assure you, Mr. Harrington, our commitment to luxury and exceptional service remains unchanged. We're simply broadening our definition of excellence." He went on to outline plans for culturally diverse events, globally inspired menu changes, and partnerships with international artists. "These additions will enhance your experience, offering new perspectives and opportunities for connection," Jerome explained. A fashion designer interjected, "But what about the staff? The faces we've grown accustomed to seeing? Our long-standing team members remain valued employees," Jerome assured her. "We're simply opening doors for additional talent to join them, ensuring we have the best people to serve you, regardless of their background." As the meeting progressed, Jerome addressed each concern with patience and clarity. He emphasized how the changes would benefit not just the hotel, but the guests themselves by providing a more vibrant, globally connected experience. However, Mr. Harrington remained unconvinced. "This sounds like political correctness gone mad," he growled. "If this continues, you can count on me taking my business elsewhere." The room fell silent, all eyes on Jerome. He met Harrington's gaze steadily. "Mr. Harrington, I respect your long-standing relationship with this hotel. However, I believe that once you experience the positive changes firsthand, you'll find that our commitment to excellence has only grown stronger. We're not just keeping up with the times. We're setting a new standard for luxury hospitality." As the meeting concluded, Jerome could sense a mix of curiosity and lingering skepticism among the guests. He knew winning them over would be a gradual process, but he was committed to proving that inclusivity and luxury could not only coexist but thrive together. Leaving the penthouse, Jerome felt the weight of the challenge ahead. He had faced the hotel's most influential clients and stood his ground. Now, he needed to ensure that every aspect of the hotel lived up to the promises he'd made, not just to appease the old guard, but to set a new benchmark for the industry as a whole. In the weeks following the changes, Jerome noticed Maya, the young receptionist, consistently going above and beyond in her duties. Guests frequently complimented her warmth and efficiency, and she seemed to embody the new spirit Jerome was trying to instill in the hotel. One afternoon, Jerome approached Maya at the front desk. "Maya, do you have a moment for a coffee?" he asked. Surprised but eager, Maya nodded and followed him to the hotel's cafe. Over coffee, Jerome praised Maya's performance and asked about her aspirations. Maya hesitated before responding. "I've always dreamed of moving up in the hospitality industry, but..." She trailed off, her eyes downcast. "But what?" Jerome gently prompted. "I never thought someone like me could make it to management," Maya admitted. "I don't come from money, and I'm not. Well, I don't look like the typical hotel executive." Jerome leaned forward, his expression serious. "Maya, that's exactly the kind of thinking we're trying to change here. Your skills, your dedication, that's what matters." He began mentoring Maya, meeting with her regularly to discuss the intricacies of hotel management and leadership. During one of these sessions, Maya opened up about her insecurities. "Sometimes I feel like I don't belong in this world of luxury," she confessed. "Like I'm an imposter." Jerome nodded understandingly. "I've felt that too," he shared. "But remember, Maya, you bring a unique perspective that's invaluable. Your background, your experiences, they're strengths, not weaknesses." He encouraged Maya to take on more responsibilities, guiding her through challenging situations and celebrating her successes. As weeks turned into months, Maya's confidence grew. She began proposing innovative ideas for improving guest experiences and streamlining operations. During a particularly busy weekend, when a VIP guest had a complex issue, it was Maya who stepped up, resolving the situation with grace and creativity. Jerome, who had observed the interaction, couldn't help but smile with pride. Later, he called Maya into his office. "You handled that situation brilliantly," he commended her. "How would you feel about taking on a junior management role?" Maya's eyes widened in surprise and joy. "Are you serious?" I would be honored, Mr. Williams." As Maya left his office, her steps light with excitement, Jerome reflected on her journey. Maya's growth was more than just a personal success story. It was a testament to the positive changes taking root in the hotel. Her rise would inspire others and prove that talent and dedication could indeed overcome long-standing barriers in the industry. On a crisp Saturday morning, Jerome found himself driving through his old neighborhood in the Bronx. The familiar streets brought back a flood of memories, both of struggles and aspirations. He parked his car in front of a community center where he used to spend time as a teenager. As he walked in, Jerome was greeted by the sounds of laughter and animated conversation. A group of young adults were gathered for a career workshop. Recognizing a few faces from his past, Jerome decided to stay and listen. The workshop leader, noticing Jerome, invited him to speak. Initially hesitant, Jerome stepped forward and introduced himself. "I grew up right here in this neighborhood," he began, "and now I own and manage one of New York's top luxury hotels." The room fell silent, all eyes fixed on Jerome. He shared his journey, the challenges he faced, the discrimination he encountered, and the perseverance that led to his success. As he spoke, Jerome could see the spark of hope igniting in the eyes of his audience. One young man, Jamal, spoke up, "But how did you do it? It seems impossible for someone from here to make it in that world." Jerome smiled, understanding the doubt all too well. "It wasn't easy," he admitted. "There were times I wanted to give up, but I held on to my dream, worked harder than everyone else, and never let anyone tell me I didn't belong." He went on to discuss the importance of education, networking, and seizing opportunities. "The hospitality industry needs fresh perspectives," Jerome emphasized. "Your background, your experiences, they're assets, not liabilities." After the talk, several attendees approached Jerome, eager to learn more. He exchanged contact information, promising to arrange hotel tours and internship opportunities. As the event wound down, Jerome found himself in a quiet corner, lost in thought. He remembered his father, a hardworking man who had always encouraged Jerome to dream big. "I wish you could see this, Dad," he murmured. Jerome realized that his success wasn't just about personal achievement. It was about paving the way for others. By connecting with his roots, he could inspire a new generation to pursue careers in hospitality, bringing much-needed diversity to the industry. Before leaving, Jerome committed to establishing a mentorship program, linking aspiring hospitality professionals from underserved communities with opportunities in top hotels. It was his way of honoring his past while shaping the future. As Jerome drove back to the hotel, he felt a renewed sense of purpose. His journey had come full circle, and now he had the power to open doors for others, just as he had once dreamed of someone doing for him. As weeks turned into months, Jerome's vision for the hotel began to take tangible shape. The implementation of diversity training programs was in full swing, with employees at all levels participating in workshops designed to foster inclusivity and cultural awareness. Initially, there was some resistance. Longtime staff members grumbled about unnecessary changes, while others approached the training with skepticism. However, as the sessions progressed, a shift in attitude became noticeable. During one particularly impactful workshop, a veteran bellhop named Frank shared a revelation. "I never realized how my unconscious biases might have affected my interactions with guests," he admitted. "This training has opened my eyes." Jerome, who had been observing the session, felt a surge of pride. These were the moments of transformation he had hoped for. To celebrate the hotel's new direction, Jerome organized a gala event. The guest list was carefully curated to include not only the hotel's traditional clientele, but also influential figures from diverse backgrounds. Artists, entrepreneurs, and community leaders who had previously felt excluded from such spaces. The evening of the gala arrived, and the hotel lobby buzzed with excitement. Jerome stood at the entrance, greeting guests with a warm smile. He noticed with satisfaction the mix of familiar faces and new ones, all mingling together in the opulent space. As the event progressed, the atmosphere was electric. Conversations flowed freely between guests from different walks of life. A renowned African-American artist was engrossed in discussion with a Wall Street executive, while a young tech entrepreneur from the Bronx shared laughs with a longtime hotel patron. Jerome took to the stage to address the gathering. "Tonight," he began, "we're not just celebrating a new era for this hotel. We're celebrating a new vision of what luxury and hospitality can be. Inclusive, diverse, and richer for it." The speech was met with enthusiastic applause. Even some of the more traditional clients, who had initially been skeptical of Jerome's changes, seemed to be enjoying the vibrant atmosphere. As the night wore on, Jerome overheard snippets of conversations that confirmed his approach was working. Guests were praising the hotel's renewed energy, the exceptional service, and the feeling of being part of something progressive and exciting. The gala's success marked a turning point. It demonstrated that inclusivity could enhance, rather than diminish, the luxury experience. Jerome knew there was still work to be done. But as he looked around at the diverse, energized crowd, he felt confident that the hotel was on the right path. The next morning, as Jerome reviewed the overwhelmingly positive feedback from the gala, he allowed himself a moment of satisfaction. The changes were more than just cosmetic. They were reshaping the very culture of the hotel, setting a new standard for the industry as a whole. Despite the gala's success, not everyone was pleased with the hotel's new direction. A group of long-standing clients, led by the conservative magnate Mr. Harrington, began circulating a petition against Jerome's changes. They claimed the hotel had lost its exclusive touch and was catering to a less refined clientele. Jerome received news of the petition during a staff meeting. He maintained his composure, but inside, he felt a mix of frustration and determination. He knew this moment would be crucial in defining the hotel's future. Later that day, Jerome received a call from Mr. Harrington himself. "Williams, this has gone too far." Harrington's voice boomed through the phone. "Your so-called inclusive approach is driving away the very people who made this hotel what it is." Jerome took a deep breath before responding. "Mr. Harrington, I understand your concerns, but I believe you're missing the bigger picture. True luxury isn't about exclusion. It's about providing an exceptional experience for all our guests, regardless of their background." Harrington scoffed. "That's naive thinking. You'll see. Your approach will run this place into the ground." After the call, Jerome knew he needed to address this head-on. He arranged a meeting with the petition organizers, including Harrington, determined to show them that his vision was not just idealistic but also good for business. In the meeting, Jerome presented data showing increased bookings, improved customer satisfaction scores, and positive press coverage since the changes were implemented. He emphasized how the hotel's new approach was attracting a wider range of high-profile guests, including international business leaders and celebrities who appreciated the inclusive atmosphere. "Gentlemen," Jerome concluded, "what you see as a departure from tradition, I see as the future of luxury hospitality. We're not losing our exclusivity. We're redefining it." While some of the attendees seemed to be considering Jerome's points, Harrington remained unmoved. As the meeting adjourned, he warned, "This isn't over, Williams." Meanwhile, unbeknownst to Jerome, Mr. Thompson, still bitter about his reduced influence, had been quietly undermining the new initiatives. He spread rumors among staff and clients, suggesting that the changes were hurting the hotel's reputation and financial standing. As Jerome left the meeting room, he felt the weight of the challenge ahead. He had faced discrimination and doubt before, but this was different. This was a battle for the soul of the hotel and, in many ways, for the future of the industry itself. Despite the mounting pressure, Jerome remained resolute. He knew that backing down now would not only betray his principles, but also the many employees and guests who had embraced the hotel's new direction. The conflict was escalating, but so was Jerome's determination to see his vision through. As the conflict intensified, Jerome began noticing a pattern of minor sabotages within the hotel. Bookings were mysteriously canceled, negative reviews appeared online, and there were unexplained issues with service quality. Suspecting foul play, Jerome launched a discreet investigation. His suspicions were confirmed when he discovered that Mr. Thompson had been orchestrating these sabotages. Thompson, bitter about his loss of status and resistant to change, had been working behind the scenes to undermine Jerome's efforts and prove that the new approach was a failure. Jerome carefully gathered evidence, documenting each instance of sabotage and tracing it back to Thompson. He also uncovered communications between Thompson and some of the dissatisfied clients, revealing a coordinated effort to discredit the new management. With a heavy heart but firm resolve, Jerome called for a meeting with the corporate headquarters. He presented a comprehensive report detailing Thompson's actions and their impact on the hotel's operations. The corporate executives were shocked by the evidence. "This is unacceptable," the CEO stated, shaking his head. "Mr. Williams, how do you wish to proceed?" Jerome took a deep breath. "I believe Mr. Thompson's actions leave us no choice but to terminate his employment," he said. "However, I also see this as an opportunity to reinforce our commitment to our new values." In a tense meeting, Thompson was confronted with the evidence. Unable to defend his actions, he was asked to leave the premises immediately. As he was escorted out, the gravity of his mistakes seemed to finally sink in. Following Thompson's departure, Jerome addressed the staff, explaining the situation with transparency. He emphasized that the hotel's new direction was not just a personal project, but a commitment to excellence and inclusivity that required everyone's support. The resolution of this internal conflict marked a turning point. With the source of sabotage removed, the hotel's performance improved dramatically. Positive reviews poured in, bookings increased, and even some of the previously skeptical clients began to appreciate the new atmosphere. Industry publications took notice, hailing the hotel as a pioneer in modern luxury hospitality. Jerome was invited to speak at conferences, sharing his vision for a more inclusive and dynamic industry. One evening, as Jerome stood in the lobby watching guests from all walks of life interact with ease and elegance, he felt a profound sense of accomplishment. He had not only transformed a hotel, but had also started a movement within the industry. Maya, now a rising star in hotel management, approached him. "Mr. Williams," she said, her eyes shining, "I just wanted to thank you. What you've done here, it's inspiring so many of us." Jerome smiled, remembering his own journey. "This is just the beginning, Maya," he replied. "We're setting a new standard, and it's people like you who will carry it forward." As he looked out at the vibrant, diverse crowd in the lobby, Jerome knew that his vision had become a reality. The hotel stood as a testament to the power of inclusivity, proving that true luxury could embrace diversity without losing its essence. It was more than a personal victory. It was a legacy that would inspire change throughout the hospitality industry for years to come.